brother too.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, we're all good. Great, ready to go? We're on?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the City of Southport Planning Board special meeting today. Today is Wednesday, October 29th, and today, for your viewing pleasure, we will call the meeting to order. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to go right into the only subject we have today, which is review of the proposed rules of procedure. Just note that we have a couple of members absent today. We still have a quorum. Also, that Kevin Laughlin has resigned his seat, so we'll be finding out what's the next steps on that to see how the Board of Aldermen want to process that. So, anyways, without any further ado, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, Shane, for making this another advertisement-free session. I appreciate that in advance. So let's just jump right in. So just so everybody knows on the rules of procedure, we have some input from Doug as well as John that's in your folders as well. I think we're distributed to you by email. If not, we can make sure those go out. So today, we left off on page, we're averaging about 3 or 4 pages a meeting. And we are top of page 10, and actually a really good subject, which is public comment. So section 5, I'm a huge proponent of public comment, as is everybody. And that's where we hear a lot from people and what's on their minds. And one of the things you want to do, though, is be able to also act on planning board business at the meeting without having public comment go on until midnight. Not that we don't want to hear from folks, but my view is that if you have some things that are that debatable or discussable, then they should be on the agenda so we can actually give it the attention that's appropriate and give it full attention. So on section 4, I found this elsewhere, as this whole document is made up of different cities, different towns around North Carolina. So we're going to continue with that process. And that's why for the listening audience, the viewing audience, we're going through this document for the rules of procedure, which is how we act during our meetings. It's just guidance. It's not all absolutely cut in stone, but at least for new members or any members, they know what's appropriate when it's appropriate. But we took these from actually communities across North Carolina, cobbled them all together and trying to get the best of the best. So on section 4, we talked about, or I put in here about following that limits the speaking time to 5 minutes. And the nice thing about this is you can also, by majority vote of the board can also extend it. So if somebody comes in, and uses their 5 minutes. And I think we're going to be reasonable. We're not going to just, hit a gong. We're not going to have a gong behind us. So I'm going to hit it when time's up. But if we think it's something that's of interest, we should have that ability to vote to extend it for an additional 5 minutes. The reason for 5 minutes instead of 3 is I think 3, people get up to the mic, get situated, start telling us what they want to relate to us. I just think 3 minutes is too short of a time to adequately get out that information. So I wanted to open it up to the board to see what their thoughts are. Should we go 10 minutes? Should we go 20 minutes? Should we cap it that you can only vote, extend it once, then we put them on the agenda? What are your thoughts all the way around?
I like the way it's written. I think it's pretty reasonable. Gives you flexibility to extend time.
If you do vote on extending it, why don't you can give them another 5 minutes? Or do you want to be that open?
That's what I do. Is I give another. My opinion is we could extend it for another 5 minutes, and maybe we should put that to extend for an additional 5 minutes, if that's reasonable.
I think a question to just assess is how could it be abused? So 3 people, 5 minutes, 2 ask for extensions. How much time is that? And
Yep.
yeah. I appreciate what you're saying, like, sometimes you get up and, oh, crud, man, my heart's beating, my mouth is dry. And yet I think there's a certain discipline when the second person goes, whoa, 3 minutes, that was a long time, which I think it actually is a long time when you're saying something. We had some fun on this,
Yeah.
and it's easy to extend it, but it's hard to, rein it back once you get it. So I can just kind of see a meeting getting sort of hijacked.
Do you think if the second speaker or the third speaker are speaking on the same topic and saying the same things, that the board would then say decline to do an additional 5 minutes, which would be reasonable, really?
Well, if nobody,
If it's not new information.
either somebody on the board is gonna go, hey, Chair, I'd like to hear a little bit more.
Yeah.
Can we extend? And I guess I'd say, can we extend to 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
Yep.
Or somebody else is going, hey, I'd like to talk more. And then somebody on the board is gonna go, Chair, I'd like to hear more. We can always do that.
Yeah.
You can always give more, but to give less, that'll be the challenge. Yeah, but those are thoughts. It doesn't, I agree with, sometimes it takes a while to get up and get your thoughts together, even though you thought you had it all.
Yeah.
5 minutes is a long time. Put a song on for 5 minutes, like, oh, that's kind of a long song.
Especially if it's on not an agenda item.
Yeah, yeah. And that's, yeah, and I think the last time we talked about the agenda items, whether it had to be an agenda item or not. Yeah, we took off the non-agenda items, so,
That's what I thought.
yeah.
So and where do we, so previous page 9, right at the bottom, so paragraph 3, if a group or organization is present, speak only 2, did we change that to, or is it 2?
Yeah, we took, the group of organizations present to speak on any agenda item. They are asked to, designate a representative, and then to address the board, but the problem we have with that one is, to designate, 1 to 2 representatives, because you could have an HOA come in, one person feels this way, one person feels that way, and both groups want to be heard, so. We left that open, we certainly didn't say that a group couldn't speak.
We capped it at 2 though.
Yeah, 1
Yeah.
to 2,
So there's 10 minutes, and,
well, possibly 20.
yeah, right, if you,
Yeah.
so, thoughts as we think about the efficiency of a meeting.
Yeah, but you can vote no too, and so the will of the board is what rules, so that if they've used up 5 minutes and the board feels that they've heard enough information to make a decision or even think about it, yeah.
The UNC School of Government discourages extensions on time limits because it's basically, if you let John talk for 5 minutes, but you really don't want to let Bob talk, you're not being transparent. And he can kind of go and say, you're choosing.
So you're suggesting that limiting everybody to 5 minutes means you're equal across the board? It's
Yeah.
not that Sally's gonna get 10 minutes and Joe's gonna get 5?
Yes.
Wendell?
Sorry, just, again, Mr. Chair, could you just say, hey, we have a blanketed 30 minutes for public comment? That's it.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Jumps in, it's like, wait, I was the seventh guy.
That's the onus on the people that want to speak to nominate someone to speak for them when there's multiple people wanting to speak on one topic.
I like that. Hey, guys, we're only gonna hit this for so long. The challenge gets to be is, wait, 5 guys got to talk about how cool it was. I think it's really uncool when 5 guys are more so, but we ran out of time. And then that extension thing is pretty key. And for the same reasons, like, who am I picking?
Yes.
Who am I picking to? Yeah, if we didn't give extensions, maybe 5 is it, and you could say, hey, you can pick all 5 if you don't want. I just think people, once they get going on the topic.
Yeah, I hate to cut anybody off on public comment and set a time limit, max time limit too, so that you only have 6 people. Because then what happens if you have somebody who only uses 3 minutes, then you've got an extra 2 minutes, and then what do you do? Say to somebody, you only got 2 minutes and can't go up to 30 minutes. You know, and you can't also with this is that you can't pass your time on to somebody else. So if you only use 3, you can't say to Bob, hey, you get 2 of my minutes and now you get 7. So-
What's your experience been? Is it?
The experience from watching the Alderman is for the most part pretty reasonable. People might go longer than 5 minutes. They might go less, but I don't see, unless it's a really hot topic, people are pretty reasonable. But I have watched them with the HPC, and they have allowed everybody to speak for or against, and it's actually provided some really good input. So why don't we do this? Why don't we scratch to extend additional time and say and put the board may not extend,
May or may not.
may not extend additional time.
Over 5 minutes.
Yeah, if you guys are all right with that, if everybody's.
Based on my experience with this board, there's been very few times. It's mostly at the Alderman's meetings when people want to go on and on. If there's 10 people that want to talk about Gates in a community, most of the time it's the applicant that we're talking to for a text amendment or something like that.
Yeah,
But that's not public comment. That's
Right.
outside.
right, this is only public comment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think 5 minutes is plenty. And you probably want to use that.
so maybe what we need to do is on here, public address to the board, the following applies to members of the general public with public comment. So it's very clear that is during that session, because last thing you want to do is have an applicant come in and say, hey, you've only got 5 minutes. Yeah, that's not even close to being fair. So let me make those recommendations. So on page 9, so public address to the board, the following applies to members of the general public with public comment. It does not apply to an applicant in relation to his or her case. Then next page on the 4, it'll read all speakers, whether speaking on agenda, whether speaking on an agenda or non-agenda item. Why don't I insert that public comment? So again, it's very clear.
But I would think if somebody came up and their 5 minutes was up, I felt like, or Doug felt like there was more that needs to be discussed. I could certainly say, I think we need to hear a little bit more about it.
Should that be when it should be an agenda item? If it's should we add it to the agenda? You know, it's like, at what point do you, exactly what Tori was
How would
saying,
you
you know,
know
how
if
do
you
you,
went to add
yeah.
to the agenda?
yeah.
Yeah, so procedurally, then it would be, you know what, this is really good. We need to think about this more. We're going to consider adding that to next month's agenda item because
Mhm.
we've already done what's on the, today's agenda.
Mhm.
If it's on something we're voting for, now we're delaying the voting to the next meeting. Potentially.
Yeah, this is just with public comment. So, no, I see what you're saying.
I mean, if we're putting it on the next agenda.
Yeah.
And if it's something.
But if it's already on the agenda,
Yeah,
I think that we wouldn't change that agenda item. They would be able to speak to or against
during
the
that
item.
agenda item.
And then that would be input that you would have for your decision discussion.
Yeah. This is easy. I knew this.
Well, I mean,
Not easy.
the question gets to be, this is why it's worth discussing, is your concern as all of us are concerned, because we are this. Did everybody get a chance to speak? That's why we have the Robert's Rules of Order. That's why we have all of us. Everybody, we might not agree with you, but you get a chance to say something. And the question is 5 minutes sufficient? 5 and only 5? 5 and perhaps more than 5?
Well, I think if we do the 5 and not yield the time and may not vote by majority to extend additional time, we could actually cross that line out about may not vote by majority and leave it based on case by case. You know, you again, for instance, you may have somebody that comes in that yeah, this is really interesting. We want to know more.
What if we made no comment about extension?
That's what I was thinking about,
Okay,
just
eliminate it altogether.
eliminate that whole line.
Okay,
Yeah,
we get to, on the spot, hey.
Yeah.
This is. we-
Yeah. yeah. Because it could be that instance. The other nice thing about these rules of procedure, you can vote to change them too. So it's just, it's not like we're gonna, it's like any document, when you do this, you should always be prepared to make adjustments, so.
Yeah. I mean, Fred, your experience is like, it hasn't seemed to be a problem.
Not so much.
Yeah. When we hit that real big contentious issue, suddenly it's like, oh, man.
Most of the time, there's nobody in the audience. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Well, the first time I showed up, it seemed like, but then maybe that was extraordinary. We were turning over the chair, we were bringing new people in. Yeah, okay.
So one thing that's not on here, our emails. Have we ever had any emails read for planning board items? Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a question from the last meeting I have in my notes.
yeah.
Do we want to allow emails?
It's a way to, I mean, the chat, there's no email functionality on our virtual meeting, right? It's only
No, this
chat.
would be an email someone was sending prior to the meeting to have read at the meeting.
So we would have posted the read ahead. They would have said, hey, that's interesting, and we would have made an invitational. send it
Yeah,
out.
the only problem you have is with the emails is when they become personal in nature, and they should never be read at any kind of public hearing, when there's some kind of, Sure, one.
I'm sorry, Imran.
No,
Is
no.
there concern that the email may come from someone that's not a citizen of Southport directly?
No, I think the board should have the type of purview that if an email comes in and it's not appropriate for the planning board or appropriate to be read, that we're not bound to read it. So we just need some kind of verbiage in here on emails and when they should be read and how we can say to some that might be just a personal, hey, I don't like this developer, he's the worst builder in the world and I don't think he should ever be allowed to do anything. That's not appropriate for the planning board. That's yeah.
Who's gonna screen that? The clerk?
What do you guys do now? Isn't that another policy that's in the work?
Yeah, so they are putting a policy together right now. I was trying to look to see what the verbiage was for that.
Yeah,
To basically say that if it's kind of ugly, that it can be read. And I guess it depends on the manager maybe, that's the deciding factor. Or I don't know if it's gonna be up to the entire board. It could be up to the entire board.
so maybe what we should do is wait to see what language the alderman come up with and mirror that perhaps, if it fits.
That I would do, it would be consistent that way.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
But initially, you get the emails, right?
Yes, I get the emails.
So you're the first step for the alderman, and then if the manager needs to look at it.
Yeah.
Are they,
I would love to not have to read ugly emails.
yeah, no, I understand. So would they give you the authority as city clerk not to decide which ones are appropriate, which ones are not? For the manager?
I'm not sure if they would or not. I could suggest.
I didn't know what the policy that they're working on, if that's what.
I don't think that was in the policy. Like I said, I really think it was up to
How do
the
you
board
screen them?
and.
Yeah, I guess I want to know how are they gonna screen them? What's the procedure?
I feel like it's gonna be up to the board and they're gonna vote on it and see if they all agree.
Okay, so why don't we just put a placeholder in there for emails and we can always add to it later on if you guys don't mind, unless you want to come up with their own.
Are we doing a disservice to anybody if we disallow emails and say, be interested enough to at least virtually attend?
What do you say that again?
Yeah, it's like, hey, no emails. You can chat.
Yeah, no, I don't think we should ever say no emails, but I think we should screen them for appropriateness. Because if we just say, yeah, we allow emails, then the burden's on us. I should say the burden, it sounds like we should read every single one that comes in, right, as the meeting opens up.
Yeah, and again, it's not problem now. It just might be in the future, like, man, I'm really not wanting to spend my time reading emails from people, from out of state. Just real quick experience, I was on a board at one point and we were making some decisions and literally it was one local news story away from being a national news story. And it's like, wow. Number one, surprised that we're here. And number two, I have a day job and it's becoming difficult to, anticipate all the challenges this might be.
Yeah.
When I present. So, I'm going to put a pin in that just for a second. Do we have any rules that help, us filter chats, the chat messages that they should?
I would never do a chat on live.
Sorry, the chat, the text function.
Yeah, we don't have the function, nor would you want that during a meeting, because what happens is then you're gonna have people making all these comments up on the side.
Yeah,
And last thing you want to have Cheyenne be the monitor, like, oh my God, yeah, no, so it's not appropriate either.
Okay.
Email or come to the meeting.
okay, got it.
So meetings aren't interactive. I mean, I think that's.
That's a really good way to put it, yeah.
Okay. Virtually interactive.
And you
Well,
have to
now
watch that, the
I mean,
First
there's a
Amendment.
public comment period and.
Yeah, so if you don't allow it, you don't allow it, period.
Got it.
I mean, you can't really filter exactly what everybody says. I mean, you can have a policy that says no cussing, but you can't take something down because you don't like it.
Yeah.
Right,
So you have to really be careful about what you don't want out there.
Yeah.
So you have to allow people to say what they want to say.
Well, that's how, that got by me. I thought we did have the chat function. So if we're not doing that, then email is cool.
I think it'd be kind of amusing to have it, especially during the Alderman's meeting. You read all the comments, you're like, little bubbles coming up, little hearts, and maybe not, that sort of stuff. Just add some entertainment to it, especially if we had it on screen, so, yeah, but no. Yeah, I get it.
So isn't this a legal question and would be appropriate for the city attorney?
Well, that's why I think with the policy they're doing, if we mirror that, then, because I would assume that the city attorney's gonna review all that as well, right? Then we can get,
I think
That's
it does
back
have a part of it, but it really wouldn't be that much of a legal aspect. I mean, he could weigh in on it, but it doesn't have to be.
exactly, yeah, all right.
So this whole process is being discussed because of one particular email. And so now the aldermen are reacting. So they're changing their policy and in the future, if things happen that we don't foresee, then change our.
Yeah. Yeah.
There probably have not been too many cases where that kind of a personal assault has happened.
Right. It's very rare, extraordinarily rare, and, but once is too much,
Yeah.
so.
And certainly it's not something we want to encourage it's not the venue for that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So.
no.
Question, Toby, when you get emails, I mean, how much time do you have before the meeting? Do emails come on?
That's a very good question, yeah.
So that was another thing that we're gonna put in the policy, that, there was a certain time that you had to have it in before it was read at that meeting.
Okay,
I think it was going to be, maybe 4:00 before like the 6:00 meeting, or either the day
Before,
prior,
yeah.
or, either like 4:00 on the Friday before the Monday meeting. So,
that makes sense.
All right, why don't we do a placeholder on that? Just so that we can, see what the Aldermen are gonna do. If everybody's all right with that, I just want to come up with these today. Okay. The rest of it is just, how the comments come through the board, and identification of them, so there's nothing unusual in this. So it basically, such comments or inquiries shall solely be directed towards the board, and in turn, the board members may seek an answer from the applicant, city staff, or members of the audience. One of the things that the Alderman, I'm not quite sure how they do it because it seems to be sporadic, is after somebody has spoken at public comment, I always understood that they were then going to give feedback or take the information and return to them. That doesn't always happen, so I want to understand what this board's thoughts are on engagement. Do we want to talk to people during public comment? Do we want to wait till they're done? Do we want to answer them, or do we want to follow up? You know, I know it sounds nickel and diming, but you have to at least, people come to the podium, they talk, they expect an answer. A lot of times they expect it right there. What you don't want to do is get into a back and forth. It doesn't make for a good meeting. It can really go downhill very quickly. So what are your thoughts on follow-up to those comments? Or we just, I hate to say we're just gonna sit there blind, mutely and take them in, because I would like to be able to respond, but what's the best way to do that, I guess?
This would be an opportunity for the chairperson to respond.
Mhm.
Let's say public comment. Here's my name, address, here's a question. Where in the UDO does it say that you can put this hotel here?
Mhm.
It could have a pretty straightforward answer. You could answer it, Mo could answer it. And that might be the end of the comment.
Yep.
At least have the flexibility to answer.
Yeah, okay.
Or if it's a question you can't answer, you can say, well, I'll get back.
Yeah, and we'll get the information, because you always collect the information, and we have a sign-up sheet, don't we?
We do, they don't legally have to even sign her name. They could put Cookie Monster and I live in the trash can.
So they'll never get it.
I'll try that.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, can you imagine that?
That's Oscar the ground.
Oh, I'm not mad. Sadly, we're bluey fans.
So if I put Cookie Monster at the next Alderman's meeting, I get to speak.
I am, so you have to find another Sesame Street character.
We can have some fun with that. Anyways, all right, so we can, the engagement is open to the chair then, all right? And there's certainly the board members as well, but I don't think we need to put any verbiage in here. Because that makes it.
This is in particular, paragraph 5.
Yeah, do we just so we have I guess, an unwritten agreement that we can answer them. If we don't, we can get back to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's on the lines of Brendan just saying, it's, the last sentence is such comments and inquiries should be submitted directly to the board. So I think the process would be directed towards the chair, and then that's gonna help.
Yeah.
Funnel some, that puts a little bit of calming effect
Yeah.
on interactions.
And I really don't want anybody to come in and ask the board a question and think that they're never gonna get the answer.
Right.
Because I know how that feels when you ask questions and then you don't get anything back. So we'll try to set the bar, I guess, to at least provide answers to the questions when we can get back to them. We've got a great staff, so what we can't answer than staff, and if we're answering it wrong, staff will throw things at us and correct us along the way. So I think that's good. And this is just such an important thing to me, in my view, and public comment. So I do have a note on here about the total public comment limit, and you had brought this up earlier. So do we want to limit the total time? I think if you don't want to cut people off, but,
I mean, it's a great idea, which is, hey man, we got an agenda. It looks like one of these agenda items is really capturing some attention. I guess what we can do is say, hey, roughly speaking, we don't spend more than 30, the idea is we don't spend more than 30 minutes on a particular item unless we want to, and then we will extend it.
yeah,
So
you
you have
can.
some kind of boundary?
Yeah, the top part again is the seventh person.
Yeah, well.
Sorry, you're number 7 on the list, so you don't get to talk.
Then
And
we
you have to-
extend, hey, apparently there's still a lot of passion left on this. We haven't heard the other side.
But somewhere along the way, somebody gets cut off. So if you have an open door, I would, this is just me, I would suggest not having a total public comment. Because I think there's more downside to upside. But if somewhere along the way we have something that comes before us that's gonna take multiple meetings, if we've heard it the first time and the second time is repetitious, then I think that's when we can institute a time limit. This is just my opinion, because, you know, most information is gonna come up the first time. So, what's your experience on that when you have?
If you have a lot of, what I have found is we don't get a lot of comment that's just out of the blue. That's
Yeah.
gonna be more at the alderman level.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very agenda specific a lot of times. And if there is a crowd for something large, then I think they should have the opportunity to speak, because there isn't a public hearing
Yeah.
at the planning board level.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that a 5-minute limit is appropriate per person, and then just whoever's there. Again, we don't usually have hordes of people. that-
Yeah. Because the other thing to remember, as an advisory board to the Board of Aldermen, they have an opportunity to speak there
That's
as well.
correct.
So, so that might work. You know, if they choose not putting a time limit, let people speak, and if they want to go further, they can go to the Board of Aldermen for the hearing. So it's not like this is a one and done type of thing.
So it sounds like there's at least a couple options we can go and things just like, wow, this is a big one, maybe bigger than this meeting is. We could suggest that we continue the discussion because we're not ready. We haven't collected all the good ideas, or we make it clear to the people who are here that you'll have another opportunity to talk on this issue.
Well, they may or may not have the opportunity. Depends on the topic and the
Yeah.
project and what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
So if it's a site plan and the planning board has the final decision, then I think that,
yeah,
and that people want to speak out and they have the opportunity.
I mean, unfortunately, we're in a tough position to try to limit speech.
Yeah.
Limiting the 5 minutes and not yielding time, I think, is a control. But if we have 20 people that want to speak,
yeah,
we might just have to gut it out. Or reschedule their time for another time. But I'm not sure how we can be business on it.
yeah, because you don't want to delay an applicant either.
Right.
You know, you want the applicant to have their time. Okay, but let's not cap the time limit for now. If nobody was really vehemently opposed to that, you know, I think it's gonna be one of those. Well, have you ever had anything where people have just used up 3 hours of 2 hours?
No.
An hour?
Maybe.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Yeah, no, but I don't see that as being.
I think
you know,
that the one time that I think that we had the most was when we'd have the first conversations about conditional zoning.
Yep.
And people would come to every meeting and speak.
Yep.
But a lot of it, they would have groups and they would have one speaker come,
Okay.
because they would have to, you know, if they had a group that would come together, but
Yeah,
they would have the one speaker that would represent that group, and then you had your single
yeah,
and, you know, citizens that would come up and speak as well.
Yeah, okay.
But even then, I mean, it never became such a burden. I don't think that if we felt like we're sitting here for 3 hours listening to comments. It was, you know, I think people were tactful and they would put their comments in, you know, efficiently and speak what they're feeling, so.
Okay, thank you.
That's the.
Yeah, thank you, that's helpful. Yeah, I think, you know, public comment, just, I'll keep on saying it, I think it's so important to good democracy and city government, so I think we're pretty good there. Anybody have anything opposed to that, not having a, all right, good, okay. All right,
I'm not sure if I made it clear on paragraph 5, I'm just making a comment that last sentence should be not comments addressed to the board, but they should be addressed to the chair.
yeah, from Robert's Rules of Order, that's the way it works.
As are our comments, they are, I mean, normally they're addressed to you, but everybody can hear them.
Let's leave it as 4, because that way it doesn't sound like, the absolute control. Maybe that's not the right word.
Well, if you were biased and doing inappropriate behavior, then anybody else here would have the chance to
Yeah.
do that with their ears.
All right, so you want to switch board to chair? Is everybody, no?
Leave it.
Leave it? Leave it.
I could, Fred, you're saying with some kind of, say it again, comment by bias. We felt like the chair was biased.
Yes, if the chair was biased and hold a grudge against you for some reason and you come up and speak,
Yeah.
well, then should you be speaking generally to the board presenting it or to the chair? You may get shut down.
Yeah, that, it
Yeah.
seems like a nuance here. The whole point, my understanding, the whole point of having a chair is, I don't even know, this is like having a first among equals, help us organize ourselves. And so when you got a big bunch of people here and they want to talk to a big bunch of people here, then the permutations on those are, you know, pretty high. But if you've got the opportunity, a big bunch of people can only talk to one person, and a big bunch of people here can only talk to one person. Unless the chair goes, Doug, go ahead, you know, have at it.
But this is public comment. There's not usually a dialogue back and forth.
Well, to the point, which is, hey, chair, I have something to say, and the chair goes, I'm controlling this meeting, please do. If the idea is, hey, Doug, what do you think about that? And like, I'm just kind of wanting to respond, and that would be the reason for the chair to go, please address the chair.
Could we do such a thing to say, inquiries should solely be, comments and inquiries should solely be directed towards the chair, and in turn, the board may seek an answer from the applicant.
Yeah, you bet.
Would that work? That way you're saying everything comes through the chair, then gets dispersed, and the board can answer.
Yeah.
As they see fit. That way it's kind of I understand what you're saying.
Because Fred, to your point, and according to, you know, Robert's procedures is, if I really felt like I was being biased and I'd say, Chair, I'd really like to talk. And he'd go, hey, no, shush. And I go, Chair, I'd like to bring that to a vote. And then everybody goes, well, the point though, is that there's this protocol for people to interact with the board. And
If I can, I'm gonna interrupt you just for a second, if I
Yeah.
could. By coming to the chair, that way somebody's not getting into a dialogue with John or Bob. Doug,
it
Correct.
it discourages
Yeah.
that and helps you.
Doug, why are you thinking that? You know, that sort of thing, sort of prevents it if you do the chair.
Yeah.
We okay with that?
That's fine.
Somebody has to be in
We're
charge.
about halfway through the first page, so we may have great gains.
If it gets out of hand with the procedure,
We'll change them.
we'll
change
we'll adapt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
That's right. We need to be flexible. We absolutely, if we live by these rules, it just, these are just guidance is what they really are. So, good. Does that work, Doug, for you?
Mhm.
Okay. So to read, such comments and inquiries should solely be directed towards the chair, and it should be to the chair, but towards the chair, that's fine. In turn, the board may seek an answer from the applicant, city staff, or members of the audience. Okay. Voting. So every member must vote unless excused by the remaining members. So if there's a conflict, you take a vote to agree that there's a conflict. Yes, there is, then step away. Preferably, already, when there's a conflict, the members usually recuse themselves from their seats and sit in the audience.
Not usually.
Because I've been on a board before, they did, so that there wasn't even just the physical appearance of a conflict that, lead during that conversation. I guess I'd have to leave it up to the member. But it's really to prevent any even possibility of a conflict if we're voted to accept the members' statement that they're in conflict and can't act on it. Anyways,
So if I was inclined to do some kind of dramatic body language, trying to vote, that would not be appropriate for me, but.
yeah, if I sat there as you're voting, like, I'll leave it up to the members. I don't think you need to, but I wanted to bring it up. So no member shall be excused from voting except on matters involved in their own financial interests or official conduct. So basically it says you have to vote. You're here, you're appointed by the alderman. You've got a responsibility to vote. You don't have a responsibility to be a wallflower and not participate. If you're not going to participate in meetings, then we will recommend that perhaps you find another committee to sit on. And I don't mean that the way it sounds, but it's just, we want to have active members. We're gonna, I mean, look at the work we're doing already. I think we've got a good relationship going, so, I don't think we have to really worry about that. In all the cases of failure to vote by a member who is physically present or has withdrawn without being excused, meaning that if, Fred decides not to vote, but he hasn't been excused from voting, the remaining members present shall be recorded as an affirmative vote. So if we all vote in favor, and Fred just sits on his thumbs and said, I don't want to do this, Fred counts as an affirmative vote. Okay.
Except for zoning matters, which I guess that's the next paragraph, but I just have a question why zoning is different.
So that's good there. I think that, Tori, is that a state law? Is that, there's guidance on that one on section 2, any member of the, alternate member refused to vote without an acceptable cause shall have the vote counted as a negative with regard to zoning matters. Didn't that come from a state law? I thought there was something that I saw along the way, or it was guidance.
We talked about that last time too, which is,
Yeah.
it was the state.
Wasn't it? I remember you found it too, didn't you?
Or
State.
Maria, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Cause that, to me, well, that's, honestly, guys, I'm not an expert on Robert's Rules of Orders, but that's contrary to Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah.
I'm a little, the logic here, somebody help me. So if, there's two domains here. One is, if I don't vote, the first rule is if I don't vote, then my non-vote gets counted as a negative. With regard to zoning matters.
Yeah, on non-zoning matters, it counts as an affirmative.
Yes.
On zoning matters, it
Yes.
counts as a negative.
There must be a why, there's a why there somewhere, because we want to be conservative, because, anybody know? Why is it just the opposite?
Any help with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought there was a statute somewhere on this. And then this is one that we absolutely need to have a reference on.
Yeah.
You know. I know I saw this somewhere else too, and I try to remember where I saw it. I just don't, I should have put a note on there. Well, we're looking at, let's go over it. Alternates shall not be permitted to vote should a member's refusal be accepted by the board. So Ed's here. Doug decides not to vote. That doesn't give Ed as an alternate is only going to sit in when a member is absent. Okay. Voting shall be done by voice of hand, and the chairman shall vote only in case of a tie. Hate that, but okay. And it insisted with only 3 voting members present, so it counts as quorum, you know, and be the 4th vote if there's only 3 voting members. Only members present at the time a vote is taken shall be eligible to vote. If an issue before the planning board is carried over from one meeting to another, a member may be able to vote on the issue if he or she did not attend the previous meeting at which the item was discussed. John doesn't make it to meeting A, comes to meeting B, he can still vote. But prior to meeting A, I alluded that if a member did not participate from the get-go, they could not vote at all on a subject. So they were out. So if there was a zoning or some kind of site plan or whatever, if they weren't in attendance at all the meetings, they weren't allowed to vote. So that way it shows that they had a complete interest and viable research done on it. So, or complete interest in research.
If there was an excused absence, sometimes that gets included in,
Yeah.
you know.
And I know it's not in here. Do we need anything here about remote voting?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. I would say yes.
And just remote voting counts the same.
Well, I was thinking, where does it say that someone who's remote officially part of the quorum? Because we wouldn't have to say it here.
I think the voting has to do with the financial interest with the zoning, which would be the conflict.
Hold that thought just a second. On the quorum, on page 7, 4 members of the planning board shall constitute a quorum, so it doesn't say anything about remote.
Maybe that's where we should address.
Yeah. 4 members of the planning board shall, including remote. So on section E on page 7, 4 members of the planning board shall constitute a quorum, including something relay, even remote access. Is that where you want something on the quorum?
I'm trying to hold that thought in my head while at the same time reading it. And then paragraph 4, which is, it said, only members present at the time of the vote. Is that what you're getting at, John? So what does present mean?
Right.
Physically present or?
Yeah.
Because I've already done some voting remotely.
Right. But I think that the intent, in the meeting, the intent is if you're remote, you're present.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So we just need to say this.
Yeah, so if we do monthly president, including remote access, one, put a word there about including remote access, so that way that counts as being.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
I'm sure state law probably supersedes that anyway, since COVID did that.
Yeah, they had one case where they were trying to throw it out and you couldn't remotely vote, but that has since, been thrown out, but they're still allowed.
So even state law does it, okay. So that way, going back to page 10, we wouldn't need to put anything in there about remote because it speaks to it in the second part. All right, Tori, now you were saying about the zoning part.
So the zoning, I think that would be like the rezoning for the conflict of interest, if you had any financial gain from the matter.
But I think specifically, if you refuse to vote, it's a negative vote for zoning, but an affirmative for anything else.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering why.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I had the reference on that. I'd have to go back and find it.
Is that problematic for us? Just because we know what the rule is, I guess. It's just the logic is reversed and you got to kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And I think what we're trying to say here is, hey, man, if at all possible, vote or have a good reason why you shouldn't.
Well, we've had the case where somebody said, I want to abstain. Well, you can't abstain. So it's an affirmative, except for zoning, and it's a negative,
Yeah, okay.
which.
We might have to keep telling ourselves that.
Right, we have to keep reminding ourselves. And again, mostly we're gonna want to vote, right? And
Yeah.
this is a remote case.
Can I ask a question on that matter? Both as a conflict of interest, you recuse yourself, then that doesn't matter at that point in time, that you've recused yourself, am I correct? And so you have a vote.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, whatever the topic is, you have a vested gain in it.
Right,
Then you should recuse yourself.
correct.
So then your vote wouldn't count either way.
That's correct.
Right,
Yes.
right. Yeah, and an alternate can't substitute for that person who's recused themselves.
Right.
Yeah. Unless they weren't at the meeting.
Yeah, for the Board of Aldermen, if you refuse to vote, then at that point, it's presumed to be a positive.
Yeah, and that's how we have it. What we're hung up on is, there's some wording in here shall, be counted as a negative with regard to zoning matters if they refuse to vote. And I'm trying to remember where I saw this and why it was in there.
That's it.
Out of abundance of caution, why don't we scratch it for now? You almost don't even need that. Probably don't even need that paragraph then if we scratch it. Because it says in the paragraph 1, and all, in all case of failure to vote by a member who is physically present or is withdrawn without being accused by a majority vote of the remaining members shall be recorded as an affirmative vote. It's really strange. Anyway, all right. If nobody's opposed, why don't we scratch paragraph 2 unless we can find more information on it? Everybody all right with
In
that?
what situation would this happen? So say I'm on a board and I have a vested interest before the topic comes up, at the head of the topic, I say, hey, I have a vested interest in this, I'm gonna recuse myself. That leaves a quorum still to vote, and we hear the case. And then there's another member that happens to be like, well, I guess I have a vested interest now too, or,
No, I think it's more of, if you, there are times when you'll have members of the board that'll become a stick in the mud and decide that they are so against this that they're not even gonna vote. And it happens, you'll get people on boards that'll just say, you know what, I really am so opposed to this that I'm not even gonna participate in this discussion whatsoever. I'm gonna sit there with my arms crossed and go, you know, like a little kid saying, I'm not gonna vote. Well, this prevents that from happening. So, all right, you don't vote, it's still gonna count as an affirmative. So that way it makes you participate,
I understand.
you know?
That happened.
Oh, I have had that happen, yeah.
It makes you vote, if you feel that strong, it makes you vote no, if you really feel that strong.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And can I add a little bit to that window too? If we went to that page 5, it says that, which is I don't get to recuse myself. I get to ask if I may be recused.
If there's a conflict,
Yeah.
and then the board votes and says, no, Doug, there's no conflict.
Yeah,
You
right. You're
haven't-
in. And
Yeah.
so and now if you don't, or you do, there's gonna be certain. You know,
Yeah, it's not like, just because you don't like what's happening, you have to have a valid reason to recuse yourself. I know it sounds crazy, it does happen on boards, that you'll get members that are just, you know, I had one guy tell me once, I'm gonna stay on the board just to be a pain in the neck. It's like, no, that doesn't work, you know, so.
Chair,
mm,
it's, the zoning issue is so that, because property rights are, more crucial than other cases, so it's to ensure that the accuracy of it. Go ahead, Scott, you can explain.
Yeah.
So the way the law is written, sir, is that because zoning rights have the vested interest in property, what we're talking about then is taxes, et cetera, to the public. Therefore, it is absolutely important that this board has a majority to show firmness that this is what the board wants to do. If you have a person who refuses to vote, that's the reason why it's negative. So it can't be one by minority rule. Does that make sense? So you have a true power majority.
Yeah, because it's zoning being property rights, so that you want.
100%. Anything else can be considered an affirmative vote.
So that way you couldn't actually make the vote happen in a positive nature, if somebody refused to vote.
100%, because
Yeah.
that's still a minority rule. That's not a true majority.
Interesting.
And I can
Okay,
see a
that's all.
case
Thank you both.
where a board member doesn't want to be on the record of approving it, so they can stay silent.
Yeah,
And,
and again, you hope they just vote no.
well, if they don't want to be on the record, or
Yeah.
don't think there's enough
Yeah.
information to vote, whatever, or they're just a stick in the mud, right? So
Yeah,
it's important to leave it in.
yeah, yeah. Do you have a reference to that you give us along the line?
Absolutely.
We can grab. it.
Yeah, along the way, just so we can, because as the work they're doing on the handbook, they've added some references in there too, which are really, really helpful. So, so that being said, now we've got some clarity around that. Everybody's all right with leaving it in. Okay,
Just for clarification, if we're at a meeting and we have a quorum with absentees, do you still bring in the alternate?
yes.
You do.
If the seat is empty,
Okay.
then the alternate comes in.
Got it.
Yeah. So here's a question for you, even though you say you're not a Robert's Rule of Order, which I think you are expert. If you have 4 members, one is recused. Let's say it's the side of the table. Fred is recused, so that vote would still be, let's say, 3 positive, 0 negative, and an abstention. So you would still have your quorum, right? Yeah.
You have, that is you, so you have, let's say you have a minute, you have a quorum, and that's it. You
Yeah.
barely- you have
Let's-
a quorum.
To start.
Yeah.
We're on a subject.
Yep.
Fred recuses himself.
Yep.
We've still got 3 positives, so it's really 3, 0, and an abstention. So we still have a quorum, even though he's recusing
You
himself.
have a majority vote. This is how I understand Robert's rules, and that's why I was surprised. But that, what you just said totally makes sense, which is some things are so important that we, mandate that there be a majority of the board voting. Not a majority of the board present, but a majority of the board voting. That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
And an abstention in the sense counts vote.
Well, it can't, no, it's
No.
the non-vote. It's exactly how you said it, if I understand it right. Four folks here,
Mhm.
one says I abstain,
Yeah.
you have 3 votes,
Mm-hmm.
and they all vote positive, then
Yeah.
the majority is positive, even if I.
But you still have a quorum, but I mean, you still have a quorum, because even though the members recuse themselves, you still have a quorum.
Yes,
Okay?
yeah. Well, then it,
Yeah, you have to, because you still.
you have a quorum, you can determine even with 3, well, three against 0 wins, 2 against 1 wins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That's always a little bit about if somebody recused themselves, but, okay.
So for us, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And maybe not for good reason.
Yeah, we should be all right on that. All right. Anything else on voting? Making progress, we're doing about right, about a page an hour. Listen, but this is fabulous, I mean, it really is fabulous, it's the right way to do this, it's just, keep on vetting it out until we get it where we want it.
And it won't be a problem till it's a problem, and then we would have wished, if only would have taken a couple more minutes to even understand what we said.
Well, I can see what will happen, will be that one thing we didn't think of, like,
Yeah.
but hopefully we'll think of everything, but God knows. So, on to procedural motions in the top of page 11. Let's see, basically it just tells you how to do a motion, second, and then any member excluding the chair may make a motion or a second. A member may make only one motion at a time, so to prevent confusion, you can't say, oh, I'm gonna make a motion this, oh, and I'm gonna make a second motion. You have to act on that motion in order, okay? And there's some other things with the motions, and actually on the, again, going back to the handbook, Doug's got some things in there on motions, and when you call a vote, debate, it's not debatable. You call the vote. Once somebody calls a vote, and then it's seconded, debate ends, correct? I'm calling a vote. I believe it does, and there's no debate. The same with tabling. If there's no debate on tabling, it's once you have those motions in effect and you've got a second, then you have to act on it without asking people's opinions. So just so you're aware of that. Especially when you call a motion, there is no further discussion. You call a motion. Just right.
That, well, the thought to me, it's like one of those extending telescopes, and you hit it, which is when you extend it, you have to work it back, motion by motion, back. You can't jump back.
With amendments and things like that. Yeah, I know, that really gets,
You gotta finish
fortunately, we
one
don't get
thought.
that. Yeah, we shouldn't get that hairy, for an amendment on an amendment, because then the best thing to do is withdraw the motion and then restate it.
You can see how Congress might do this, but I don't think that we would.
When they work.
You, under KC, this will help us a little bit before when we were thinking is, to the best of your ability, if somebody is pro, or there was 2 pro people, you go, hey, yeah, I'd like to hear from somebody now who is, a con, and this is the Windows point. And then after the con, pro, and then con, and then pro, and then at least maybe you're trying to work your way, a balanced way through. And so it's staying there and see, that's good.
Yeah. And that's more for us than it is for the audience.
That's how the chair would control, the balance.
Yep. So the chair shall state the motion, then open the floor to debate on it. The chair shall preside over the debate according to the following general principles. The member who makes the motion is entitled to speak first. The member who has not spoken on the issue shall be recognized before someone who's already spoken. So generally, we're pretty good about that. To the extent possible, the debate shall alternate between opponents and proponents of the measure. Okay, everybody's, I assume, is good on that section. And then you go down below. These are just motions, pretty much what you have in your handbook too, don't you? Down below on A through G,
Yeah,
A through K.
Yeah, it seemed to me, my comment on this is, cases in Robert's rules, so I don't think we need it. I think you made the point is, yeah, but if everybody doesn't read Robert's rules, then
Yeah, then
here's your quick take.
There's a quick outline, right? Yeah, you can get, I'm looking at this one, I need to divide a complex motion and consider it by parts. It's a good way to do it. If you get something that's really want to do this, this and this and this, break it down. So under the call of the previous question, the motion not in order until there has been at least 20 minutes of debate, or I remember has the opportunity to speak once. So the good thing about that is you can't just suddenly go, I call a motion when only Doug has spoken on it. You really have to allow debate all the way around, so everybody has an opportunity. Yeah. Hey, here we go. Well, you know, it's pretty straightforward. It really is. That's the nice part about Robert's Rules of Order is that they're an established set of rules for running meetings, and they do revise them every now and then, but I don't think they get really too crazy. So, did you ever give your thing on Robert's Rules and how they were put together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did I talk about it?
Yeah.
No.
Why don't you give a quick primer on it, I guess.
Yeah. Right now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Well, you really are. You know, I'm pretty familiar with Robert's Rules, but I think you're far more than I am even. So if you want to go give a little history of it and how it was put together, and if I remember correctly, it was done by an Army guy who was actually in New Bedford at the time, but I may be wrong on that, but go ahead.
Yeah, so this is as good as urban legend because my memory is exceptionally fine. Yeah, and again, it's only since I came on here, like, I was interested before when I got on here, it's kind of fascinating. Like, I don't want to be, you know. So turns out there was this general officer, Army Corps of Engineers. So that's fun for me. I'm an Army Corps of Engineers guy out in the San Francisco area, if I understand right. And his church asked him to come run a meeting. And the meeting was contentious, and he was, just
What year ago? Was it late 1800s?
I think it's late 1800s, yeah. And he was really disappointed in his ability to manage that meeting well. And so he kind of made it his business to, hey man, can I just set for some rules to help these meetings go better? So what he did is he reached into the congressional rules of procedures, the American Congress, pulled it down, and a lot of ours are based on parliamentary procedures, right? Pulled it down, tried to make it good for the local use. And the principles, and this is what really caught my attention. The principles were essentially this: it's a democratic process that allows as much as possible everybody to have a say, and yet preserves the majority rule and tries to prevent a minority rule. And so when you look at like all the stuff in Robert's Rules, all those try to feed like 2 or 3 or 4 stated principles along those lines. Yeah. So the democratic process that preserves everybody's opportunity to speak and yet preserves the majority rule.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm sure the folks at home gives them some information as well. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but
yeah,
it was well done.
I did that accurately. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody at home right now is on. That's true. And I'm sure we can hear if we're wrong. Let's see, contact the parties involved in applications. So this is really important. The public meeting is the primary place where petitioners and others interested in requests for zoning map and text amendments should present opinions and information concerning the request. Contact between interested parties and board members prior to the public meeting should be avoided. Board members shall not accept any gifts, mail, or any other item of value from any party involved in any request. Board members should not indicate their positions regarding requests prior to receiving all information presented at the public meeting. I know there's case law on this, that if you sit there and you say to the press or you say to the public, you know what, I am never gonna vote for this, I am so opposed to this, it's not gonna happen. That is then the person, the applicant coming in is not receiving a fair vote because the information hasn't been presented. And you want to do this at a board meeting, so I would absolutely, neighbors, friends, whatever, don't tell them how you're feeling, you know, like, I'm gonna vote against this. Keep an open mind always, but there absolutely are court cases on this, that people have been very vocal, been in the press, been recorded, saying this is never gonna happen, person doesn't have a fair shot. And it's not fair to the applicant either. So I would just caution you on that, to be careful. And I want to take you out to lunch, like, thanks, but no thanks, you know, that doesn't happen here, you know, but, yeah, shouldn't happen here. Any questions on J at all? We'll contact the parties involved in applications.
No RVs.
No RVs, no boat rides, unless you know boat rides and, you know, things like that, things that get people in trouble.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, none, just don't do it.
If I should come in and say, hey man, I wasn't paying attention, I didn't quite catch what I was doing, we went out to lunch, I was with a friend and suddenly I realized this is not friendly lunch, this is something else. Yeah. I should have been on my game, but I wasn't. How do we, is that, I would just say that and then say I've asked to be recused and then.
No, I think as long as, yeah, that's a really interesting question because you go way down to the weeds of this. My thought would be, as long as you can still have a fair opinion and you're not somehow convinced because you had lunch with a person, I would just avoid the whole thing. And yeah, if you make a mistake, I don't think, you gotta leave it up to the member. If you feel so inclined that your vote has been compromised, then I would absolutely abstain and recuse yourself. Yeah. It's only really is, if you feel compromised, then don't.
As a suggestion for all of us, just as a matter of, you know, trust building, it's much easier for me to go, hey, I wasn't paying attention, or it turned out to be different than I thought. I had lunch with this person.
Yeah.
I'm willing to recuse after, and then the board gets to decide,
Yeah.
as opposed to somebody later on going,
That's right.
you know what? Were you the guy that I saw?
Yeah. And you know, it's a small enough town. I mean, we're all friends with everybody, you know, so to say that, you know, if you're down at one of the local watering holes and you're having a beer with somebody or coffee somewhere else, what have you, and that doesn't mean that you're prevented from ever acting on them, but I think you just, you be cautious, that's all. You know? And not, the biggest thing is not saying this is how I'm gonna vote ahead of time, you know, so that people actually come in and say, you know, Doug said he's never gonna vote for this, so I want him to be bounced off, and you want to give everybody a fair shake, you know, it's the right thing to do.
The easiest way to avoid some of that, and it can be kind of a pain in the neck. I can't tell you how many times somebody said, hey, I'd like to take you to lunch and, or buy you a cup of coffee, or can you come over? You just gotta, yeah, it's almost like you have to become antisocial and just kind of stay away. If I've been asked one time, it's been 50. How about let me buy you a cup of coffee and talk about it? No. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Plus, I hate coffee, but anyway, that's all the time. I can't tell you how many lunches I've missed.
Yeah.
And
It's a really delicate road to travel because you should be able to maintain friendships with people,
right,
but you need to maintain that arm's length too. You know.
Several years ago, over in Indigo, we had a candidates forum, and I don't know, 6 or 8 of the candidates running in the city showed up and gave their little spiel. And one of the ladies in India makes these intricate cookies. And, you know, everybody's giving one out. And we had tried to give one to one person, and the person said, can't take it. I'm self-funded. So I can't take that.
Interesting. That'd be really hard with a good cookie.
Yeah, I mean, all it was a special cookie. I can take that.
I'm sorry, Johnny, you were saying.
It clearly wasn't Cookie Monster.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, it's hard, especially in a small town, you know, that you do want to maintain friendships, but you just have to know when that arm's length needs to be, you know, out there. Yeah, that's all. Anyway, all right. Minutes. Good.
Before we jump to minutes.
Sure.
I'm good with Jay. Do we need something comparable for dealing with city staff or other boards?
Well, you think city staff's gonna sway us, or
Well, I mean, are there any
you think
restrictions?
city staff's gonna take us to lunch?
Not so much the lunch part, but
Yeah.
the contact with, for instance, let's say there's a site plan application.
Yeah.
I want to go to City Hall.
Yeah.
I want to look at the application. I don't want to get the highlights.
Yeah.
You know, is there any restriction?
Shouldn't be,
You know,
should be. I think we should have full access to staff at all times,
okay.
you know, and vice versa.
And maybe we should say that. And also, there's, you know, board of aldermen or whatever, the board of adjustment, the board of adjustment that they can lobby, perhaps, you know. I'm not saying city staff could lobby, but they might.
You know, there's a line you don't want to cross, is lobbying with the Board of Adjustments, because they can't do that. Can't do it, you can't, they have such a, the way that a quasi judicial settings are, hearings are set up that, yeah, everything they can only act on what's been presented to them, if I'm not mistaken, right, that night. So last thing you want to do is have a planning board member say, hey, I think you should vote this way. Is that what you're thinking? Or-
Well, I'm thinking the other way around, but let's say, alderman, member of the alderman said, we don't want to vote on this. So I don't think you guys should send this to us. Whatever it is, not site plan, but something that goes to the alderman, UDO, and, you know, we don't want to take this up, so you shouldn't take it up.
Yeah, that's not.
That's not how it works.
We
That's
make,
not the mechanics.
yeah, we make recommendations to the Board of Aldermen, they act on it, so they have to, whether they act on it or not is up to them, I suppose. I suppose they could set something aside and say, we're not gonna do this. We can just make the recommendations, so what are you thinking, that we should have some verbiage in there that?
Well, I'm saying if there's no restrictions in contact with other boards or city staff, we should just add something that says,
Okay,
Or
there is no restriction.
if a situation like that occurs, should they go ahead and make that recommendation to the board, and the board can table it or whatever? They should not be stopped from making that recommendation, should they?
No, this is like a one-to-one lobby.
Yeah, oh, okay.
I vote no on this because I don't want to see it at the board meeting.
just adding the notes, yeah. So I'll put something in here to the effect, no restriction on access to cities, access by board members. The city staff or staff to planning board members.
John, what struck me too is maybe just a generic or other boards or other municipal boards or something, because if we want to go to county board or something. In other words, there's no restriction for me to go talk to any
No, not at all.
staff
Yeah,
or
you-
board members. Many,
I think the only time it becomes really bougie is if you're doing it in an official capacity. So if you want to meet with somebody, you meet with anybody all day long, doesn't matter. But if you come in and say, hey, I'm a member of the planning board, I want to meet with you because of this. I don't think that's a problem, but I think you just have to be careful about how you're representing it. I would always run it through Mo or something like that, or the chair to see if it's appropriate or not. Yeah. Is that what you're thinking, or?
it sounds like you want to make hey, here's what you can do, and also here's what you can't do. Also, here's what you can do. And the statement you're crafting right now is here's what you can do.
See, but I think other boards have to have their own thing. So we should be able to meet with other boards individually. I mean, there's other members that I'm friendly with, forestry committee, cemetery committee, you know, beautification, things like that, excuse me. But if those boards have some kind of item going on, like the Board of Adjustment, then they would have that same similar verbiage in there saying contact with parties, you know, not being able to sway a vote type of thing. So it wouldn't be on us, it'd be on that person.
Say, hey, I
Can't do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
Well, I think in the parenthetical statement that you're thinking about is to be generic
Yeah,
to any board, any staff. And I'm taking your point, which is a good one, which is, hey, Doug, if you want to go talk to the board, maybe just, run by the chair of this board first.
but I also think when you put contact with parties involved in applications, couldn't the party also be the Board of Adjustment if it's gone back to them?
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
like, they because the party, so the party's not just limited to an applicant, it could be anybody
Yeah,
involved.
I'm thinking just make it a
City is
generic.
part to the application
Yeah,
as well. So
yeah,
that's why I'm saying we should break out.
then add to
The
that
city
staff, okay, we'll put something in there, I'll add a line. Well, you don't see any problem with that either, do you? I think it should be open door between any board member and city staff. You know, vice versa, yeah.
Well, and two, I think it just heard as a courtesy, like, hey, Mo, I want to go talk, well, somebody, I'm thinking about going and reaching out to the county staff member to do something, just as a courtesy, go, hey, what do you have one contact? Or you might go, hey, can I go with you? Or here's my favorite or something. Yeah, not to be written here. But
Yeah, yeah. Okay, minutes, everyone's good on that, J and also J.2, whatever, and staff, okay. Minutes of the planning board should be known as the unofficial minutes until approved by the planning board, at which time they become official minutes. The unofficial and official minutes shall be public record and kept on file in the office of the planning board and available for inspections during regular business hours. So, another board that I was on, I was told by an attorney that the second that key is hit, that becomes a public record. So, because I thought at one time that minutes were not releasable until they had been voted on, but draft minutes are releasable. Is North Carolina law the same thing, that as soon as they're created, they're public record, because it's done by staff. So if somebody could actually go into the office and say, I want to see a draft, they would just have to know that they're draft minutes.
Yeah.
So,
The draft gets superseded.
yeah, and they are public record. They're not restricted at all. Not everybody realizes that, but yeah. Okay. Legal counsel. Everybody's good on minutes. Legal counsel, in order to ensure the planning board operates within the confines of relevant law, the Board of Aldermen shall provide legal representation of the planning board upon request. Okay. And all unified development ordinance modifications and or additions or other related items that require a vote by the Board of Aldermen will be first reviewed by legal counsel, ensure that compliance with law prior to be submitted to the Board of Aldermen for action. So we're trying to put something in place here that, and staff really has a handle on this anyways, but it just really puts it in writing. So that way, if we're acting on something, that it goes to council first before it goes to the Board of Aldermen. If that's where it needs to go, because the last thing you want to do is kick this up to the Board of Aldermen and have them say, has council reviewed it? We can't vote on it until it happens. So it's really just putting the chicken before the egg, or the egg before the chicken, whichever way you look at that. Does it make sense?
it does, it's got some, and paragraph 8 has some magic word, shall. So is there a mirror language in rules and procedures for the Board of Aldermen that they say they shall? Since we can't enforce something that they don't want enforced?
You lost me.
Yeah.
They had a motion a few meetings ago to provide legal counsel to us.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, and so this mirrors the statement that they've already made. Got it.
Yeah.
Maybe shall is in there, but it does align with what the board said they wanted to do.
I mean, we can say anything we want, it's just shall is the.
Well, we did have an occurrence early this year where we asked for legal counsel and we were told it wasn't a good use of city resources.
Yeah,
And that it was very concerning to the planning board that we were being denied legal counsel, input.
That's the example that came to mind when I was reading this, which is,
Yeah,
okay, we said you shall, but apparently you don't agree that you shall.
yeah.
You should say, well, you will, you may.
I think you have to leave shall, because at the end of the day, you know, we have city staff, and we have the board of aldermen. If they don't think it's necessary, I mean, certainly that could be a really big bone of contention again with us. But, you know, the aldermen have the purse strings, so if they say it's not, I find it difficult. I see both sides of this, but I really want to have access to legal counsel whenever we ask that question. But the aldermen, they could say, no, you're not gonna do this. So we're saying we want it. They could still say, no, you're not gonna get this. So, I would like to pass this by the aldermen when we're done for their, I guess, vote of acceptance, if you will. So, for the whole rules of procedure, then we can see what happens from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Larry, this also goes back to Article 5, and I sent some comments on that. Article 5, we were talking about city staff. We wanted to add something about legal questions on how they're asked and
Yeah.
how they're addressed. I'm not suggesting that we change Article 8 here, but I think if Article 5 is clear that we have the right to ask the question, then I think the question about shall kind of becomes less murky.
Yeah, so just then on 5. Give me a second, on John's, John has, the one that had planning board rules of procedure on the cover page. And we're talking on page 11 on his, and then also on page, for city staff, changing planning for city staff. And then also he's got a comment up here, access to attorney, the planning board through the chairman or through a motion, the planning board may request legal assistance from the city attorney outside of the items outlined in Article 8. Questions may be submitted in writing and contained in the meeting agenda. Responses from city attorney shall be in writing included for discussion in the agenda for the next planning board meeting. So, would you want that?
You guys bring up a real important point. There's a huge difference between will and shall. And most people, I don't think, understand that. Going back to my 100 years ago, my former life, we had and we dealt with OFCCP, Office of Federal Contract Compliance. We had a whole group of shalls that you had to abide by. And that was, you didn't think about it, you did it. These are things you must do.
They shall.
As
Yeah.
opposed to will not think about it.
Yeah. That's why we've got shall in here. So, John, your comments on top of page 5 of your input. Do you want that here? Or do you want to brought over to
Article 5.
put it under Article 5?
Right, so you have A, planning services,
Yep.
B, clerk, C, the attorney.
Yeah. Okay, adding it.
And what this does in Article 5 is it kind of separates from the automatic stuff that's in Article 8.
Yeah. Get it up.
What's the verbiage in the 10 Commandments? Is that shall or will?
Shall. Yeah.
My God,
You did the Article 8 commandments.
that's the difference. We're gonna do it, and I might think about it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room in the 10 Commandments. Okay. Good on, everybody's good on legal counsel. Okay, keep that as a yes. So, recommendations, this is what we really do. We make recommendations to the Board of Aldermen, except for site plans, major site plans. Major site plans, that's the only, yeah, otherwise it's a recommendation. Planning board may prepare and submit to the Board of Aldermen for its consideration possible adoption of a unified development ordinance to regulate the height, area, bulk, location, and use of buildings and premises within the city of Southport in accordance with the provisions of North Carolina Statute 160D. Planning board will also have the power to initiate proposals for the amendment of the unified development ordinance based on its studies and comprehensive plan. Planning board also will review and make recommendations to the Board of Aldermen concerning all proposed amendments to the unified development ordinance. What are we missing here?
Looks like somebody wanted to add another paragraph below it, but they didn't. But I would personally.
So that's a text amendment, so I think you need to, if you want to add, if you're going to do recommendations, you need to speak up on the, map amendments as well.
Yeah, that's what I was just noticing. That doesn't have anything in here about maps. So I'll add that in, add map amendments.
Well, you might be able to just roll it together.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering under.
It depends how you want to do it, but, because it's the same procedure.
It is,
Yes.
yeah. And so, well, let me work with you on language on that, huh?
Yeah, because you say use of buildings and premises, you can kind of tweak that and put that in.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on recommendations? Key is recommendations to the Board of Aldermen. It's there, the governance, if you will. Okay, administration, compensation. Sorry, folks, you don't get paid. It's the way it is. Members will not be compensated for their service on the planning board. Reimbursements for expenses incurred while performing duties as members of the planning board must be pre-approved by the chair or in their absence, the vice chair or the city manager. And I put Board of Aldermen. I think the city manager should suffice. I don't think we need to go to the Board of Aldermen and gum up their words with these sort of things. Basically just saying, you want to take a class, you want to learn something, you want to go to some seminar, you have to pre-approve it. I've seen people decide that they were going to go to different things and then put in for it and then be told no, and they absolutely lose themselves in anger. And it's like, well, you need to get it pre-approved. So this just says, not saying you can't go, but just saying you just need to get it pre-approved. Okay.
This only comes into play when we expect reimbursement or you're going to request.
No.
This only comes into play when you're requesting reimbursement or you anticipate that.
Yeah, if you want to go to any conference and you want to do it on your own dime, I don't think any of us is going to say don't go. That's entirely up to you. But yeah, this is just if you want to get reimbursed. Yeah, I think it would be wrong for any of us to say that we need to go through the chair because somebody wants to go to a conference on their own. That's just nonsense. That's just unnecessary bureaucracy. So I think I would encourage everybody, go online, look at different things, see how other cities are doing planning. Attending conferences, meetings, travel and expenses, when authorized by the planning board and approved by the city manager may attend planning, again, reimbursements. Upon pending planning, the planning board may, upon the city's manager approval, by a formal affirmative vote, pay the reasonable travel expense and incident to such attendance. So, do we need to change this a little bit so that I don't think you want to have to run things by the planning board to attend a conference only if you want to be reimbursed.
Well, at the end of that paragraph it says,
Yeah.
pay the reasonable travel expenses. So I think
I didn't take it that way at all.
Yeah, maybe the planning board when authorized by the planning board may attend.
I think the key is to get reimbursed.
Yeah, so how about if we scratch the part so it reads, members of the planning board scratch out when authorized by the planning board and approved by the city manager may attend planning conferences, meetings of planning institutes, hearings upon pending planning legislation, and the planning board may, upon the city manager's approval by formal affirmative vote, pay the reasonable travel expenses and to such attendance. You know, do we really want to have, if you want to go to a seminar that the board has to authorize it, that just, I think that's just, yeah, can we scratch that then?
Well, I mean, so by authorizing it, you're, at least to me, implying that you're reimbursing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, the second part. Maybe, oh, so you're saying if you go as unauthorized? If you go on your own without the planning board, then it's unauthorized, which is still okay.
Well, you can
Yeah,
go,
not to
just
say you
won't
can't
get
go.
reimbursed.
Okay,
You can have a little preamble that says, at the beginning of the paragraph, reimbursement is expected or something along those lines. And then that would indicate that all you have to apply to only when you.
Just like you said, Larry, I mean, nobody's gonna stop a member from going to a planning conference.
yeah.
Why don't we just split the sentence into two separate sentences?
Yeah.
The first one just says, hey, you're welcome to go to these conferences, and then you must have approval to get reimbursed. That's fine.
Yeah. I'll figure that out. I'll split it too. Maybe a combination of both, you know.
Companies come out and have to pay.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Good catch. Hope I'll catch that on the final too.
Yeah.
Publicity and education. You know, we're just right in line with, actually, I think we're ahead of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're breaking a record. Publicity and education, the planning board shall have the power to promote public interest in and on the understanding of its recommendations. Planning board with formal affirmative vote, publish and distribute copies of its recommendations and may employ such other means of publicity and education as it may determine. So this gets a little sticky because you don't really want to play politics, but if you really want to help people understand why you voted in such a way, you should be able to have that ability to put together a package to pass on to the board of aldermen. But is this too much latitude to say, you know, we're gonna create brochures or something like that? I'm trying to think outside the development box, but also zoning changes and things like that.
So under section 1328, general powers and duties of the planning board, paragraph 6, keep the board of aldermen and the general public informed and advised. Already discussed in the previous paragraph. So it seems like this is the method by which it could be done.
Yeah, so you could do it. Yeah.
What I thought was in there, this was kind of building my question, is what is under this administrative thing? It seems like if there's something the board wants to do that costs money, that seems to be in Article 10.
You're talking about the ordinance itself?
No, now I'm talking about our rules and procedures,
Yep.
Article 10, like what all is going in here and for what purpose? Part of the purpose is, hey, do you need money for something?
Yeah.
You need to
Yeah.
ask before.
This is basically saying, yeah, that, you know, don't expect to get reimbursed, you know, get it pre-approved.
Yeah, so this publicity and education, that will cost money and
That's right.
medicine, or, I mean, the only no cost thing or insignificant cost if we posted something to our website.
Yeah.
A recent example, with the forestry committee, we voted to make door hangers just for public education. As the call before you cut, that there is a tree ordinance, but that's an example that there was something tangible,
Yeah.
like door hangers.
Was that like about 8 months ago? And people went through the neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was a beneficiary of that, and I happened to guys, hey, what's going on? So, when you did that, you had to ask, I suspect the city doesn't have a printing press or something. Yeah,
So the forestry committee has a
fund.
funds.
Okay. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was a funding thing and that's why you were thinking, hey, we need to throw this in here, or no, I just want to reiterate that we have this,
Yeah, we have the ability to
educate,
do it.
train.
Yeah, well, how much do we have in our budget?
Wow.
The planning board, how much money does the planning board have in their budget?
I don't think there is one.
I was gonna say, isn't it a goose egg? Yeah. So we would have to figure out how to do that, and staff could say, oh, no, we're not, there's nothing in our budget
We'd love
for.
to, but.
Yeah, we'd love to help you out, but you guys are on your own, so we'd have to, work with the city manager or dip into our own pockets, which I think would be a little.
You have to ask Frank for money.
Yeah, ask Frank, tell Frank, yeah, we wanna shift this boat somehow and,
Take up coffee.
yeah.
He doesn't like coffee.
That's simple.
Anyway, this just allows the board to be able to say, hey, if we think there's something to promote public interest, that we have the ability to do this, so that you don't have somebody saying you can't do this.
That's simple. Just say Noah.
Yeah. Didn't know it, just say no. That's why no begins with N-O, So anyways,
Is there a word missing there somewhere after planning board with formal vote? Can, shall, must, publish?
I think publish is the verb, so the plan board with formal affirmative vote, publish, and I guess we could put may publish, well. Yeah, I can put may, yep. It makes it a clearer sentence, sure, thank you. Yep. And we don't have to put shall, we'll put may.
Maybe a little bit, then, so it sounds like this wasn't in here because we're getting that wedge in for funds or that we need to think of funds. It was like, hey, no, I think it is.
It's not the administration. So basically, it's also, so the member doesn't come up and say, hey, I want to create a brochure, and it's like, if you don't have something in here, it prevents it. So at least you have something in here that a member says, I want to see how this is being done. I'd like to be able to advance this so that when the Board of Aldermen have a recommendation on it, that we've got a nice package put together and might have some copying costs or something like that.
Okay, here's what I'm thinking right now, Larry, is I'm going to 1327, or no, 1328. I'm going, hey, we got these 8 things that we're supposed to be doing. One of these, I think, it deserves a little attention here in our rules and procedures, because it says we should do it. And this kind of says a little bit more about how we're doing it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else then from those 8 subparagraphs that deserves to be mentioned, and see where I'm going with this?
Yep.
Okay. We talked about the UDO, we just talked about that, right?
I like the way your picture showed
Whatever it was, don't do it.
It is Halloween, almost, right?
Yeah, what else do you have there, Doug?
Well, it strikes me then, if that's the case, does Article 9, and does Article 9 belong under Article 10? Or something? Because the Unified Development Ordinance, that is maybe.
Yeah, no, you have to break out, it's under administration, so that way it shows you how things can be done. I don't think it has to be under, because that's the recommendations. 9 is our recommendations. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you think it's shifting that over there?
I would just, my question is, there's this cool article, administration.
Mm-hmm.
What all belongs in, I mean, John was kind of saying, you know what, if we said it in
Okay.
5, and then we said in Article.
So you think you move that as a section B under 10, under 9?
Well, then Article 9 would become administration.
No, I leave it as recommendations. Because that way you're still making a recommendation. This tells you another way that you can act on it.
Okay.
So I'll move that. Good idea. And I'll fix the word may. Okay. Orientation and training. And we're good on that. I assume everybody's good on administration section 10. Good. Orientation and training. Orientation of new members. Planning director. Mo, planning director, your title?
Yes.
Okay. So meet with new board members as soon as possible after the appointment to prepare them for effectively serving on the planning board. That is probably one of Mo's most thrilling moments, is when she gets to meet with members and tell them what really goes on as opposed to what people think goes on. The planning director shall provide each member a copy of the planning board handbook, which is in working. And I understand that we should have it ready, a draft ready for the next meeting in November. We can, vote on it, act on it. And this just outlines all ordinances that the board typically deals with in the comprehensive plan, and other major statements of the city's growth management and development policy. But do we need to add something about camera in there? You think that's a good enough of a?
I think that's fine.
Yeah, keep it general, okay.
But I think maybe instead of saying growth management, land use policies, maybe comprehensive plan and any other, adopted plans, I think might be the better way to do it, say that. I mean,
In the comprehensive plan and other adopted plans
Yes.
of the city's growth management? No, but you think other major statements works? So that really kind of does a catch-all of the major statements.
So a copy of the UDO is also provided.
well, all ordinance.
Yeah.
So I guess I was thinking if there were, because we have like a transportation.
Yeah.
Like the comprehensive transportation plan, we have, there's
Oh.
a mitigation plan, we have other
So you thinking
plans,
about,
but,
you thinking about,
so because to me, the growth management and development policies are incorporated in the comprehensive plan.
yeah,
So that's the greater,
Yeah.
the greater umbrella, that everything else is fit.
how about if we put, all ordinance the board typically deals with and the city's growth management and land development policies, and take out comprehensive plan on the major statements. So to read, all ordinance the board typically deals with and the city's growth management and land development policies, plans, take out policies and add plans, maybe.
Sure.
Okay. But the, on, Article 11A, last sentence, it'll read, all ordinance the board typically deals with and the city's growth management and land development plans. So we'll take out, because it's more than comprehensive plan. So I'd say it would be a catch-all.
And so I'm seeing the word policies right there, is that?
Yeah, take out policies and substitute plans for that. So that way it's comprehensive plan, modal transport plan, you know, camera, all that.
Yeah.
Stuff. So it's a whole catch-all. Planning director shall also generally explain the city's growth management and land development policies, the relationship between the board, city planning staff, and the organization duties and responsibilities, procedural rules and legal constraints which the board operates. Should we put the relationship between the board, the board of aldermen and, the city planning staff? And I think it really needs to be clear that we're an advisory committee.
If you said the relationship between, like the city boards or municipal boards plural, then that would be a comprehensive thing, because, I mean, I really, when I came and talked to Mo, it was kind of cool, because we talked about what other people do, especially, I mean, for us, maybe the focus is on the adjustment board, and some of these talked about other boards too, and then that would include the board of aldermen.
Yeah, what do you think of, how about if we put, the reason why I want to vote, I really wanted to be a focus that, you know, that we are advisory. So between the board of aldermen, other city boards, planning staff.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Planning staff and the organization duties, responsibilities, procedural rules, and legal constraints under which the board operates. I think sometimes people get on boards and they think they're something that they aren't. So it's important to have that time with Mo. Personally, I wish that any applicant that came in could do that first, so they could understand that they really have a clear understanding of what the roles of the planning board are and if they really want to apply or not. But well, you talk to anybody anyways that comes in and they're so applying. Yeah. So legal training. The planning director will coordinate the training by legal counsel of new members and existing members as needed of relevant law. So we did that last time. We did it when we came on. We had that session. You guys had that session, right? Yeah, I did it with us at the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's really important. And I think that's where that handbook is gonna come in really helpful too, those are the references. Everybody's good on legal training. Do you need more? Do we want to put anything in about we need to do it once a year or anything? Do we need anything like that?
I mean, that's the say.
Yeah, we
As
have,
needed.
yeah,
I mean, if there's a new law from Raleigh.
Yeah.
we
yeah,
training on it.
yeah, good point.
John, you're saying put that clause in as
You
needed?
know, it is, we
So
have
it's
existing members as needed of relevant laws.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah, so if something changes, and we're unfamiliar with it,
Yep.
we could ask for legal advice, or to do it. General, board members are encouraged to expand their knowledge and understanding of planning issues by reading planning related literature and attending planning conferences, courses, seminars, and workshops. Okay, anybody opposed to that?
I think it's good. When I read this, that's what dropped me back to my previous comments about. Education could be meeting city staff. There's no restriction on that.
Yeah,
Article then. Not right. Article 11, yeah. Can that fit under the administration article?
yeah, but it's because it's training. See, it's training, so you really want to have it in the training section too, to say, you can do this if you want. You can have it in both places, but I think having it in the training really pulls out that you can go to seminars and things like that.
Okay.
So. All right, we've got approximately 50 minutes. We can certainly go over if we need to, I think. Next one is, I assume everybody's got on Article 11. Article 12, ethical principles and planning. So going down, the planning process must continuously pursue and faithfully serve the public interest. Accomplishes the planning process, participants should recognize the rights of citizens to participate, strive to provide citizens full, clear, and accurate information. And I'm reading half of these, so if there's anything that you don't like, let's go, just say stop. Strive to expand choice and opportunity for all persons, recognizing the special responsibility to plan for the needs of disadvantaged groups and persons. Assist in the clarification of community goals, objectives, and policies in plan making. Ensure that reports, records, and any other non-confidential information which is or will be available to decision makers is made available to the public in a convenient format and sufficiently in advance of any decision. Again, it's all to do with transparency. Strive to protect the integrity of the natural environment and the heritage of the built environment. Pay special attention to the interrelatedness of decisions and the long-range consequences of present actions. Basically, in terms of zoning changes, we want to make sure that it's not just for today and it's not for 6 months, but it's from 10 years from now, and how it impacts the city. Planning process participants continuously strive to achieve high standards of integrity and proficiency so that public respect for the planning process will be maintained. This needs to be set in. Let me just. So it says, to accomplish planning process, participants should exercise fair and honest independent judgment in the roles as decision makers, make public disclosures of all personal interests, define personal interests broadly to include any actual potential benefits or advantages that they, spouse, family members, or person living in the household might directly or indirectly attain from a planning decision. Basically, if you're going to make out because something comes before the board, you need to recuse yourself. And abstain completely from direct participation. Seek no gifts or favors nor offer any. Do not participate as an advisor or decision maker on any planned project in which they have previously participated as a paid advocate. So those who might be engineers or builders and you actually work with somebody on this, you need to not participate in it. And it previously participated as a paid advocate. Question is, does that mean when you have such an open-ended statement as a paid advocate, that's only in relation to that particular plan? I would think, not like if John's worked with somebody in project A, then they come in with project B, that doesn't exclude you from participating in it. is how I read this. It's just that particular project.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where.
So if you're paid for project A, you need to exclude yourself from project A, okay? Serve as advocates only when the client's objectives are ethical and consistent with the public interest. So basically, if you want to do some paid work for somebody, that it better be ethical, and that is not something way out of bounds. Because the board's gonna call you out. And do not participate as a paid advocate in any aspect of a plan or program in which they previously served as an advisor, same thing.
Can we, pause for a second?
Yeah, please.
Paragraph O, is it serve as a paid advocate? And it's every time
I
we,
don't think you have to be paid. I think you're just advocate. If you're an advocate, if you're out there on the streets and you're talking to people saying, hey, we should be doing this, if you're calling the board of aldermen, you're doing this, then I think you're advocating for that.
so we're making a distinction between sometimes we advocate and sometimes we're paid to advocate. These are two different things.
Essentially, you're still an advocate.
Do we want to, okay, so do we want to be broader and remove the word paid and say, when you're advocating, be careful, or no, you need to be especially careful when you're a paid advocate?
I think you have to be especially careful as a paid advocate.
Okay, do we want to make both of you distinct, hear what I'm going with this?
Yep, I would.
Every time we see the word advocate, should we put the word paid in front of it to be more specific? Or no, leave paid out and be more generic, or no, we need some of these are more important than others, depending on what we're talking about.
And that's O, huh?
Oh, does it apply paid? Because
What would be an example of a paid advocate?
You could have an engineer doing some work for the person and help guide them along in the process and then come for us. Yeah. I can put,
It's an NOP, several times P.
yeah, this whole thing needs to be rejiggered.
I just wasn't sure what, it's gonna be a little bit more clear to me, like, dude, when you're getting paid.
So you, are you
be
thinking
very
on,
careful.
so you're thinking on, oh, it should serve as paid advocates only?
Yeah, because you have a client,
Yeah.
presumably you're paid.
Okay, yeah, who are we to say you have to, that's an ethical question, you know, who are we to call you out that, hey, you're getting paid for somebody that we think is unethical? I can put paid in. I'll add it. It's easy to add.
Well, I mean, Larry, really to kind of circle off your point there.
Yep.
If you're a paid advocate for something that's coming from the board,
Yeah.
you got to stay off.
Yeah,
This is gonna make it pretty clear.
yeah,
You know.
if you've
now
been paid,
very
you're
careful.
up,
Yeah.
period, flat out.
So even before you get to the ethical question,
Yeah.
if you're paid, getting paid for something that comes from the board.
Yeah. Which goes on, is that good enough? If I had paid to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that gets to what you, hey, man.
And P is essentially the wrap up. Do not participate as a paid advocate on any aspect of a plan or program which they previously served as an advisor, maybe. Do not use confidential information acquired in the course of their duties to further personal interest. God, wouldn't we ever get any confidential information that? May not be like saying, the only thing I can think of is that, you know, there's a Dunkin' Donuts coming to town and you're gonna buy the property so that they can locate there. I don't know.
Or if there's a building height, text amendment, change, then let somebody else know you need to get your application in.
But is it really confidential because it's in public session? You know, we wouldn't deal on anything.
I got the feeling when I was going through, I think it was it was like under contract negotiation or something, you know, there's.
Yeah.
And you say something and the
Yeah.
price goes up, the price goes down, the opportunity goes
So,
away.
so anything that goes in closed session, like, would you be
Yeah.
confidential? Okay, why don't we leave that in? Same thing with our, do not disclose confidential information in the course of their duties, except when required. Do not misrepresent facts or distort information for the purpose of achieving a desired outcome. So which means treat everybody fairly. Do not participate in any matter unless adequately prepared. Read your agenda. Read your packages. Mo and Wendell and Burrell send out, and Allison and Scott will all send out very comprehensive 300-page documents that'll
And we are more than willing to answer questions about it before the meeting too.
Yeah.
Clarification points, things like that.
And, you know, I've done that, both of them with questions, and I say to everybody, just ask them, you know, you can, because there's sometimes you head down this road and you find out, no, this is why you're doing this, so.
This was, but, this is where the tension gets to be in, to me, an abstention being, there isn't.
Yeah.
Which is, for me, it just happened to be when we were doing the 2050 plan, which is, I love this thing. This is awesome. It's big. I just kind of got it. And I don't know enough about it. I really want to vote, but I don't feel like I can get conscious say yes or no, because I just don't know enough. And I mean, so our rules engage, which is, hey, abstain away. What that means for you is, and so it's just kind of fun that here it is. You do your homework.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's, you know, that was the one-off.
Yeah, yeah, it, no doubt it was, because everybody who's on the board should be prepared. That's why they set up the packages in advance. Respect all rights of persons and not improperly discriminate. How about not? When I said not improperly discriminate against or harass, so we're not improperly, how come we not, how come we take out the word improperly? Yeah, I don't think, because it's, I can probably discriminate against you. Not discriminate against or harass others based on characteristics which are protected in the civil rights laws. Improperly. I didn't know it was improper. Yeah, I get that one down. But there's a proper way to discriminate? That makes no sense. All right, everybody's good on that section. I'll rejigger those so that they fit in.
I'm gonna go all the way back up. So A, recognize the rights of citizens. B, strive to provide citizens. Should that be residents? Or we
Yeah.
focus on the South Fork citizens?
Yeah, just citizens.
Okay, so
That's in
any
general.
citizen? Okay.
Yeah, is it catch-all? Citizens,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
It means anybody that lives.
Lives and is, legally lives somewhere.
So, human being,
Okay,
yeah, human beings.
okay.
So, because we're not limiting to city people only to come into meetings.
Yeah,
If it's a public meeting, everybody's welcome.
yep, sounds good.
So jumping over to, we might break, suspension of the rules. With the exception of broadcast and recording or other legally binding requirements, broadcasting and recording is a policy of the city. So every meeting is broadcast, unless the city manager finds a reason not to do it for staff availability or technical reasons and things like that. The rules and procedures may be suspended by a majority vote of the entire board for the current meeting or for a set period within the current meeting. Not otherwise indicated by a set time period, suspension of the rules of procedure are only for the meeting in which the suspension vote occurs. So if you want to suspend the rules on public comment, you can do that.
Unethical.
What? What?
That is unethical.
What do you mean?
You know what, we're gonna suspend the rules for this meeting.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
It basically says, you know what, we think these are just not, they don't fit this particular point. So I'd like to suspend them, you know? Yeah, I know, but it gives you.
But who's to say, whose call is that? Like,
Any member can make a motion to suspend the rules or suspend a rule during the meeting and then it's voted on, and the other members can say no.
I feel like you're gonna have some pushback from people on that. Because
There's not a consistency that allows you.
there's not a definition.
I know, but it is not, this suspension of rules is not an unusual thing to have in a document. Yeah.
That's true. Only, and it's only if there isn't a necessary reason for it to have speakers on the floor. If the item is general business, let's say, you don't need to have speakers on the floor.
Right.
That is part of the rules of, I mean.
Yeah, so you can suspend them. Yeah, you can do it in by majority vote.
If you're, another way to look at it is, sir, if you're wanting to suspend the rules simply to shut down speakers for whatever reason, you're just, so you have some rights in this.
Yeah.
You could lose your seat. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that could get, that would be.
Yeah, it could get really,
So I just wanted to clarify. Not to
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. You don't want to use it.
inappropriate.
Yeah. Oh, heck.
I know.
I didn't think of that angle. I didn't.
Sorry, I've been there, done that, so.
Yeah. Oh, you suspended rules, let's shut down.
I watched the board suspend rules and everybody's mouth just fell open because they realized that the board chairman in this particular case was just pulling rank instead of actually following the procedures. So the procedures are outlined here in detail and context. Everyone knows that if it's, for example, let me go back to my previous.
Yeah.
It's a simple, there's no reason to have speakers on this. This is general business. We're gonna go ahead and move forward. However, if it's something that you've got speakers and you don't want to hear them,
Hmm.
and you say, I have rank, we're not hearing anything on this, that would be unethical.
Right, but this one is a majority vote.
100%.
Yeah,
So long as everyone understands that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I would never want, my gosh, I would never want any board to say you have one person that can just shut down the whole system.
Correct.
Yeah. Good. That's really good. I never thought about that. I guess I just don't think like that. So the full set of rules and procedures will be enforced once the meeting in which the rule suspension is voted at is adjourned. So basically it just says, unless you've got a timeline to say for the next 3 meetings, we're gonna suspend the rules on, whatever, public comment. So we're gonna say for the next 3 meetings, because we've got so much work to do, we're not doing public comment. It'd be a real stretch. I can't imagine ever doing that, but,
It's nice to be able to have this as a tool
yeah,
if you need to.
yeah.
It's something. to rely on.
Because the rules, yeah, you just want that, so, okay. Is everybody good on that, on 13, suspension of rules? Okay, amendments, the rules of procedure may be amended by a majority vote of the entire board, provided that the proposed change shall have been submitted in writing in the previous regular meeting of the board. Meaning you can't amend these on the fly during a meeting, you have to have enough notice to be able to study it and understand it, or it was in, so, at the prior meeting in writing. Submissions to amend these rules of procedure may be only proposed by current planning board members, board of alderman members, or city of Southport staff. Okay.
Okay, just catching up. Sorry.
Yep.
I'm on 14.
Yep. So if you want to amend it, submit something in writing in January, we'll act on it in February. So what that prevents you from doing is amending the rules on the fly to say, you know what, I only want public comment to be for 3 minutes, and we're gonna amend the rules tonight before anybody else does it.
Yeah,
We have to actually do this in advance, so it gives everybody time. You're not doing it by the seat of your pants.
Yep. Makes sense. So I'm just looking at Articles 14 and 15, because 15 ends up with, hey, adoption.
Yep.
As a matter of courtesy, you talked about submitting the rules and procedures that we discussed here to the Board of Aldermen
That's correct.
for their review, for their
Yeah, for their
approval,
review,
for
sure.
their,
For their review,
not for their approval.
it's our board.
Uh,
So I think, and if they have, listen, Board of Aldermen, if they don't like it, they're gonna kick something back, and then we'll certainly consider it.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
we're saying something in here about how we're about to implement these, which now starts in 14 and goes into 15.
Yep.
So I like it. What is the intent for us to, hey, this is our rules for ourselves? Board of Aldermen, take a look. If you got a problem, let us know.
Yeah.
We're more than excited.
Yeah.
But we don't bind ourselves by it. So
No.
we're not outside the rules. But
No, we're an advisory board to the Board of Aldermen and some.
these are rules and procedures for us to help us.
Yeah, just like the Board of Aldermen, I think have their own rules of procedure, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, certainly if the Board of Aldermen sees something that they're not comfortable with, I think that we should consider it.
Yeah.
So they could actually send an amendment to us and say, we're gonna recommend that you amend the rules of procedure like this.
Yes.
Board of Alderman has you can look at it and vote on it. We can say we need more information, send it back to the planning board and have them expand.
Yeah.
Or you can actually just table it.
Yeah.
But the smart thing to do, and I think what we do is if we don't have enough information, is send it back to the planning board and have them flesh it out more.
Yeah, that's right. We've done that with UDO changes and things like that. Yeah. So basically, going to the Board of Alderman would be informational.
Yep.
And they can, if they desire to make any changes to it, they can certainly send it back to us in writing.
Okay, I note with interest, none of that is noted in 14, which is okay by me.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that that's what we intend,
Yeah.
as well as 15.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the Board of Alderman, again, is informational. I'd love to have their input, but, so. Anything else?
Yeah.
Guys, anything else? Yeah, so here's the question I have. Actually, let me ask, let me to make sure, staff, anything in here that you see that you'd like to tweak?
Not that we've already, haven't already discussed it.
All right, what over the other staff table?
Not the one, Scott really hasn't gone through it completely yet.
Yeah. Okay. So the question is, we have another meeting set for,
Thursday.
yeah, Thursday, 11/6. Do you want to do a final pass through, or do you want to just go through these at the next? We don't have anything on the agenda for November, right? Other than review the handbook. So perhaps we could review these at the same time. Is there any need to have that meeting next week?
So the review would mean.
I would go through, make all the changes, bring them back.
Well ahead of time, and it's by exception, essentially.
Say again?
It's by exception, which is, hey, this is what we all talked about. Anybody see something that we didn't talk about?
Yeah, so are you thinking for next week or for the meeting on the, at the end of November?
Well, if we're gonna wait to have it as an agenda item on a regular meeting.
Yeah, we get them out in advance so that if there's something that really stood out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it can take 30 seconds, or
Yeah.
otherwise, if we go through it just like we did now.
Oh, you mean on our regular meeting, is there other exceptions to this?
Yes.
Yes, I don't think we would go through it page by page again. I'd be like, let's vote on this, let's accept it, or make some changes to it, let's vote, and then also pass a copy on. If there are changes, we amend them again, but not have to, I think the vote would be with those amendments, you know, and that way we can finish it up, send it over to the Board of Alderman for information. And then come January, because we're not going to meet so far in December, we've got these in place and we're ready to rock and roll. And, go from there. I mean, does that?
I'd like to see an updated draft.
Yep.
I'm not really worried about when we'll vote on it, but.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, so what's practical to get an updated draft?
God, I can't say before month end, because it's only a few days away. Let's shoot for the end of next week. Would that work?
Yeah.
By the,
7th.
yeah, the 7th. Shoot for that. Would that work?
I mean, it gives us,
Yeah, it gives you 4 weeks or whatever before the next meeting to provide feedback.
so do you want feedback before the meeting?
Sure. Yeah, you know, include Mo and I on it, and do it individually. And especially if it's anything substantive, you know, that's what you really want to make sure, because if it's substantive, and if you don't mind, I'll, determine how substantive something is. We need to, then we won't do it in November. You know, if we think there's that much of a controversy about something or multiples, that we won't approve it in November until we're content with it. Okay, so yeah, nothing before it's time.
Okay, so when we get the draft,
Mhm.
we have comments, we send it just to you and Mo, or we
Yeah.
send it to?
Send it to Mo and I can distribute them. Yeah, I want to be careful about doing a wide distribution, not by any kind of community practices. Okay. Frank, anything for us?
I love what you're doing. You guys have drilled down to the bedrock. And you're putting together what I'll call an SOP, standard operating procedures. You got answers to everything. You need that. You know, somebody has a question, you go here. this is what it is, this is what it says. You get rid of any ambiguities. You guys are doing one hell of a job of that. It's also very obvious, listening to what's going on over here, that the staff ain't just a bunch of pretty faces. They have got, there's a lot of knowledge over there, and they're using, you ask them a question, they get an answer.
That's right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, well, hold on here, I'll think about that. You get an answer right away, because they've done their homework. And that's very comforting. It helps you make decisions.
Yeah, thank you. All right, anything else for us?
What's the difference between these two?
So this is, Doug's input, this is John's input. I would just mark them as such, and I'll incorporate, yeah, like I did on mine.
More copies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll incorporate them as well, where we're able to. All right, and if there's nothing else coming before us, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Nay, we have a second?
Second.
Made and seconded, any further discussion? Here none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so voted, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us on online. And thank you to staff, appreciate it all. We are adjourned.